The Kingdom Business Society Podcast.
Kingdom BS.
With Steve Holmstrom. Talking God, wealth creation, business, faith, money, and saving the world.
Well, hello, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Kingdom Business Society, Kingdom BS on Spotify or wherever you get podcasts. If you enjoy listening to stories and conversations about faith and about business and about wealth creation and changing the world, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And also, if you found this on YouTube or anywhere else, go check us out on Spotify or another podcast platform, because you can go back and you can see some of our past episodes. We've had some amazing ones. I'm on a mission to interview and get the long version, the long story of some of the greatest business leaders and influencers in the world. And we've had some great ones so far. Make sure you go and listen to the one we did with Chris Valentin. Dyke Rogers from Texas was phenomenal. Talked for 3.5 hours with this Texas gazillionaire. It was absolutely over the top. Robert Henderson, Cindy Jacobs. Once in a while we let a preacher on if they're really good, but mostly business leaders, millionaires. And we had our first billionaire here a month ago, David Green, the owner of Hobby Lobby. And so go back and check those out. I have a phenomenal guest today that I'm so excited to introduce to you. I want to tell you two quick announcements before we lean into this podcast. Number one, if you get this, if you hear this podcast very quickly, we still have some seats open for our Dependently Wealthy Business Leaders Gathering, June 25th to 27th. We've rented the BMO Center in Calgary, the most beautiful ballroom in Alberta, one of the nicest in Canada. 2,000 business leaders at round tables, and we're going to feed you well. We have literally spent $1 million on this 3-day event, and I'm letting you in absolutely free because I love you. But I'm asking for a favor, and it's this. You must, well, one, you got to be a business leader, and number two, you got to bring an unbeliever with you. This isn't just about you growing in your business. This is about, this is going to be the greatest fishing trip we've ever had. We're going to see so many businesses transformed, and we're going to see lives changed for Jesus Christ. We're going to preach the gospel too. So if you're coming, make sure you bring someone with you. DependentlyWealthy.com is the website. And yes, we have John Maxwell as one of our speakers. We have Bill Johnson from Bethel coming. We have David Green, the owner of Hobby Lobby. We have Bill High, and you even got this redneck here. And so we're going to just have I think it's going to be the greatest business leaders gathering since the time of Enoch. So make sure you get to DependentlyWealthy.com really quick and register before those seats are gone, because free seats tend to disappear fast. And by the way, if you're one of those generous people who like to help me pay for things, I do need some sponsors. I'd love it if you help. There's a sponsor page there as well. Also, one other announcement is this is the first time I've ever announced this, and it's you're hearing it for the first time ever. Right now, this week, I'm releasing my new book, which is called Dependently Wealthy. And you can get it on Amazon. You can get the audio version as well. Some of you know I usually give the audio version of my books out for free. SteveHolmstrom.com. You can get my books, Access Granted or Dowitz Gabby, for free. This one I'm billing you. I figure if I'm going to help you get rich, you can sow into our ministry a little bit too. So if you want the audio version, you're going to pay for this one. But this book is, I know I'm biased, but this book is really, really good. Bill Johnson wrote the foreword for it, and he told me, he really liked it, but he said one of his assistants who all he reads is business and wealth books. He read it, and he said it was his favorite book on wealth and finance. And so Dependently Wealthy, God's Money, God's Way. Some of my favorite stories are in this book, and it's all about money and wealth. And so I know it'll bless you. It'll get you growing financially, but it'll also get you thinking about your mission, because God doesn't prosper you just so that you can tell your mother that you finally became something. He prospers you so that you can impact the world for Christ and hopefully invest in evangelism. You know, you got to sow in your local church, but make sure you're winning souls with those dollars too. So find a missionary that you can support, or a tent revivalist or somebody, but start sowing into souls. Well, I am absolutely juiced. I know you already saw the title before you clicked on it, so you know where we're going, but I'm so excited. I can't even believe I get to say this. Today on Kingdom BS, I get to interview and introduce you to the CEO of Kenneth Copeland Ministries. He is a rancher. He is a jet pilot. He is a business guy. He is a leader who has led one of the largest and most influential Christian ministries on the planet. And he said yes to be on Kingdom BS. And so I want to say hello, John Copeland, and welcome to Kingdom BS.
Hey, Steve. Appreciate being on here. It's an honor, and thank you for flying all the way down here just to do that.
Oh, yeah, I would have flown to the moon to have an interview with you. So thanks for saying yes.
Appreciate you being here. It's nice to get to know you, too.
So and I have to tell this story just to kind of set this up. I had never heard you until it was only a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago. I went to Ohio. My wife loved a book that she read by Gary Cassie, like 4 years ago. And it really, there was 2 books. Her mom gave her 2 books. Both of them were from her mom. She gave her The Blessing of the Lord by your dad, Kenneth Copeland, and this book by Gary Cassie. The Blessing of the Lord just unlocked a revelation on covenant that just set her on fire. And then that led her to Gary Cassie's book. And those 2 books just got her going. But that one, the red one, I can't remember the name of it, but the red one that Gary has, she probably read that 5 times. And it just set her on fire. And I've been a faith guy for 12 years. Before that, I was 38 years of stupid. But for the last 12 years, I've really been faith. And I've seen God just about give me everything I asked for. I am a faith through and through. Awesome. But my wife, I was dragging her along for a long time until 4 years ago. And she read those 2 books. And then she got on board. And now she gives me a run for my money. She's my Gloria Copeland.
That's awesome.
And but I said, honey, she's always wanted to go hear Gary Cassie. And so I said, let's go. I'll take you. And we have 5 kids. And so we went to Ohio to hear Gary Cassie. And I didn't even look to who the speakers were. And you were one of the speakers. And I'm like, Copeland? John Copeland? Like Copeland? Yep, Copeland. And when you spoke, it so deeply impacted me. And not just you, but watching my children listen to you. Because your vulnerability, your honesty, just the way you told your story, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and then preach faith and declaration and the power of your words. But it was the way I even just watched my kids lean in. And I remember many times I've thought to myself, like, are our kids, going to get the faith message? Like, is the next generation going to get this? Because a lot of our kids, they're not listening to Hagin anymore. They're not listening to some of the old giants of the faith movement.
Kids?
18 to 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Busy.
Yeah, it's a busy house. But I remember them just listening to you and leaning in, and I thought, oh my Lord, hallelujah. And so when I left there, I just said, Kara, I have to meet John Copeland. I tried to get you as you were going out the door, but there was all those people around you. But I thought, I have to meet John Copeland. And so thank you so much for making time for me. It just means the world.
I'm glad you reached out, man. I've watched some of your YouTube videos and stuff, and it's the one you sent me. I've never had anybody send me a YouTube video, for an invitation. But I could tell just listening to you talk, like you're a real dude.
Thanks.
And unfortunately in ministry, we see all kinds, When you're titled Kingdom BS, I thought, there is a lot of BS in the kingdom sometimes. But, for me, the reason you hadn't heard me speak, because I haven't done it very much.
Yeah.
Over the years, I've been I had worked here for 31 years. And of course I worked my summers in school. My mom would always put me to work in the summer, right?
Oh, okay.
I might be mowing ministry grounds or digging ditches or whatever. But if I was working, I wasn't getting in trouble.
Right,
You know?
yeah.
So keep me busy kind of thing. And then when I got out of high school, I started a welding company out of high school.
Oh.
Did that for about 5 years. And then I came to work here because we were doing a lot of building and stuff like that. And so I've worked here, forever.
Mowing grass, welding.
Yeah, and then my uncle was the CEO at the time, my mom's brother, Doug.
Oh, yeah.
And so while I would be welding down there in the welding shop, 3 days out of the week, he started bringing me up here a couple days a week to sit in meetings, and listen and kind of get the feel,
So your dad was never the CEO? I would have assumed that.
Dad's not good at business.
Really?
He just wants to preach. My mom's good at business.
Oh, okay.
My mom, she's a smart, shrewd businesswoman.
Oh, okay.
Dad, no, just
Preacher.
preach. And that's all he wanted to do, He'd get bogged down. Now he would give vision, it's like God told me that this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And then you run with it. But as far as the day-to-day business, no, it's not his wheelhouse.
Wow.
But it's my mom's. And it was my mom's brother, who's also a really good businessman. So he started introducing me to the office. And so then I wound up, I was over all the grounds and maintenance and security. And then I was over the meetings.
How old would you have been around this time?
Probably, I became CEO at 25.
Oh, okay.
So it was between.
How old are you now?
I'll be 60 in June.
Okay. That's it.
So, man, it's hard to believe.
25 years old, you were CEO. Before that, you were running security and everything else.
Yeah, and so I had started my welding business, which that's where I had to learn accounting, computers. That was back during the DOS days, and you had the floppy drives and all that. Internet was, that thing. But I had to self-taught a lot of that, and then I started a cattle company in '93, and so I bought about 30 cows, 30 mama cows. I didn't realize there's a cattle cycle. Like everything in life, every business has a cycle.
Did you know anyone who was in ranching, or just learning?
Oh, I knew some people, but I was
way?
just like, I buy cows, I put them on grass, they eat, they have babies. How hard?
See how it goes.
Dude, I bought those cows for $1,000 a piece, and the next year they were worth about $300. Calves were running $550, or so, and now they're bringing like $200.
Oh no!
And so that was when I decided to go to TCU, to the ranch management, because obviously I need to learn more.
TCU, what's that?
Ranch management, TCU, Texas Christian University.
Oh, okay.
So I went there. They have the best ranch management course probably in the country. People
Wow.
come from all over. So I did that at night for 3.5 years. But that was because I wasn't looking to own ministry. This is all before.
You were?
I wasn't.
You had
looking to
no
go-
intention of ever being in ministry.
I would never, I never felt called to preach or anything, and so I would worked here, building stuff, doing my welding and things, but that was, and I didn't go to college, had no desire to, I hated school. And so, but when it was something I wanted to learn,
Yeah.
I'm on the front row.
Yeah.
Every time else at school, I'm in the back, far away from the teachers I could get.
Yeah.
But
But ranching, you were interested in.
But they taught you everything, not just cows. They taught you marketing. They taught you accounting. It's the first time I ever learned enterprise accounting. And, of course, I learned medicine and all the other stuff, too. But it turns out those things I was doing just because I desired them, and Mom and Dad never pressured me to do or be anything. It's
Really?
like whatever God leads you. Turns out that was my education for being CEO.
ranch management.
Ranch management and having my own welding business. I have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And so I wound up, moving up to the ministry. And then when I became CEO, looking back, I didn't know much. I'm pragmatic. I look at, what makes sense. I'm not very book learned, but it's common sense is kind of my strength, just logic,
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I had to learn, and it's the most important thing in business, is people and how to manage people. and what a valuable asset they are. And so, of course, coming in young, most everybody here that's working for me is older, but I would do things like, how much are we spending on coffee? Because at the time, we had 400 employees or so. And it's like, we're spending how much on coffee a month? We leave the coffee pots, and people can bring their own coffee. We'll save that. Of course, I didn't realize that's coffee sacred.
Yeah. You don't touch that.
And I'm going to save $200 a month, and they almost had a revolt. And then I got to thinking about it. It's like, you actually want them jacked up on caffeine, so they work hard. And all that.
So then you went out and got the big espresso machine.
Yeah. Well, we opened a Starbucks downstairs.
Did you really?
Yes.
There's a Starbucks down here?
Yeah. I don't know if it's Starbucks anymore, but Starbucks they'll work with nonprofits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so we opened up a Starbucks. I stood up in front of the staff and apologized, made a mistake. We're opening a Starbucks. We have lattes. We have baristas here and stuff.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's Starbucks brand anymore.
Yeah.
And so, it was a learning curve for me. But what I learned, I remember sitting here in this office saying, ministry would be easy if you didn't have to deal with people.
Come on.
It's like, you got 400 kids here, for what it feels like sometimes. And that was kind of my attitude. It's like, why, you got these people bickering, and it's like, just be adults, And then over time, what I learned is it's like, where they might be a frustration in the past when I was younger, what I learned was, dude, these people are awesome. My job here is to make sure they have what they need. As a manager, as a supervisor, whatever it is, the people underneath you, your job is to make sure they have the tools they need. Yeah. You've got to communicate with them. They have to communicate with you. They have to feel safe with you. They have to trust you, and vice versa. You need to trust your people. And so, man, over time, the whole thing just flipped for me. Like, I love our staff so much. When I left, the only thing I missed was the people.
Wow.
I didn't miss the job. I didn't miss, I missed the paycheck. But it was the people I missed, such really good people. And so coming back, I was gone for 8 years.
Was it 8 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so coming back, man, it's just like, I just love them. We have a clinic here, doctor's clinic for them that's free. And so,
for the staff?
Yeah. We opened that back years ago, mainly to lower insurance costs. Right, and convenience, because we're out here in the country. Right. So if they need to go see the doctor, or they don't feel good, or whatever the need is, they could just go down here. It's free, but then they don't make a claim on the insurance. Right. Right. So it lowers your claims, but it's more like an acute, like you feel bad. Here, we'll give you this. Right. Here's your Z-Pack or whatever. Yeah. Instead of being preventative. So now that I've come back, we've had this company called Movement come in. And they do, all the anti-aging and, all that kind of stuff, peptides. Yeah. But complete mock-up on your body. I got
friends who are going wild over peptides. It's like the newest thing.
No, they're legit, for real. But it's like extensive blood work, DEXA scan, which scans your body for, your body fat percentage, internal fat, your skeletal. We have a V2 max where they put the mask on and have you pedal the bike to check your V2 max. It's a complete mock-up of your
So they do the blood test where they check every little thing.
Yeah. And so instead of waiting till you feel bad or something gets worse, now we're telling you, look, this is where you're at, but this is where you're headed. And we need to change that course. Wow. Extend your life and give you a better life. So since I've been back, we've brought all that in. And so that was in April. And so it's like, dude, this is your most valuable asset. Yeah. If your people aren't happy and healthy, it's both mentally and socially and everything. It's like they're not going to be as effective at work.
No, absolutely.
And so that's, for me, that was the biggest probably learning thing when I look back when I was younger, is just, the people.
Caring for people.
And if you care for them, they care for you. You give them ownership, they take ownership. Yeah. If you micromanage people and tell them how to do everything, just shut up and be quiet, they quit. Yeah. They quit trying. And
they don't want to be here.
No. And they're anointed to do their job, right? And so you let them do their job. And so that's another thing that I do with my staff. I got 2 hours a week. So if anybody wants a meeting to come sit down and talk to me about anything, they come talk to me. Give me your ideas. Give me, I was like, y'all got ideas too. Tell us how to save money. Tell us how to reach the partners. Change people's lives. And so it's been good, man. It's been good to connect with everybody again. And from what I hear, people are happy and enjoying coming to work. I mean, it's still work, but at least here you're changing people's lives. And it should be fun.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, it's hard work, but you should enjoy coming in and getting to minister to people all over the world.
Yeah.
It should
And
be
you guys are ministering to people over. I have met multiple ministries in Canada, even. Like I've been in northern BC, ministries that, I'm thinking of one right now that they're rescuing, drug addicted men and whatnot, helping them out. But I've met a number of ministries and I've asked, how do you finance this? And I've had numerous ministries tell me, oh, we got big donations from Kenneth Copeland Ministries. I'm like, really? And nobody knows. But you guys are really invested, not just in U.S., but you're invested in Canada and lots of ministries all over the place.
6 offices around the world.
6 offices.
Yeah, I think Canada.
How do you guys decide where you give? Because I know you're giving everywhere.
That's a good question. So each office has their own, money that's given to our Canadian office stays in Canada.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so the Canadian office decides, like Bill Plankert's ministry, well, he's retired now, but to the Inuits or, other areas, we let the local office, because they know more about who they are, what's going on. You know? And then sometimes Dad will say, hey, we want to support them in Canada.
Yeah.
Or Africa or England or wherever the office is, Europe.
Bill Prankert, that's how I got to you.
Yeah, Bill's awesome. He's on the Canadian board.
Yeah, he's fantastic. We love Bill Prankert.
Yeah.
Canada loves Bill Prankert.
And I'll tell you, Joe East running the office now up there, and we have the Bible college there.
Joe?
Yeah, Joe's
I haven't
awesome.
met him yet.
You need to connect with him.
Cool.
He's doing a great job. I just met him coming back. I didn't know him from before,
Yeah.
And he's doing a great job.
Wow.
In the college, we have a Bible
Where does
college.
he live?
Where's
head
office
office?
is in Vancouver.
Oh,
Surrey,
Vancouver.
I think. I haven't been there in several years. But yeah, he's doing good. But yeah, what's sown in Canada stays in Canada.
Wow.
Now there's some expenses reimbursed to here,
Right.
that we do for the office, like television broadcast and things, but everything else stays there. And so the ministry, we want to tithe 10%. That's what we do, at least 10. This office, it's more like 18% that we sow into other ministries. My dad, man, it's like my dad's such a giver. I've never seen anybody as generous as my dad.
Yeah, no, he doesn't just preach it.
No.
They give. You guys give. You sow.
And he doesn't do it for recognition. He does it because God tells him to.
Yeah.
He's literally giving all of his personal money away.
Really?
Yeah, I'm like, Dad, I'd like to inherit something, But he's just such a giver. I bet he buys a vehicle probably average of once a month to give away to people.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, he's giving away like 30 airplanes to ministries.
30 airplanes, and he'll give away a vehicle a month. Yeah. He'll just see someone they need a vehicle. Wow.
He likes GMC.
He does? He'd like my truck. I got the nicest GMC on earth.
That's what I drive. He gave me my truck.
Really?
Yeah, I was going on a hunting trip a couple years ago in Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a GMC Denali.
Yeah.
I came home and he had bought me one. And it's like, my truck was good. I didn't even need a truck.
You know what I got for my 50th birthday? I just turned 50. I was driving old trucks for a while, and I didn't mind. I was all right with it. But for my 50th birthday, I come home. This is a few months ago. And my son says, hey, Dad, Mom says there's a dead deer in the backyard. You got to go clean it up. I'm like, oh, great. Because we have deer all over our place. Mm-hmm. And so I go back there to look at this dead deer, and there's a brand new GMC 2500 Denali Ultimate Edition.
That's awesome.
Like the nicest package of all. And I'm like, Kara's like, surprise, happy birthday.
See, I have the same thing in the 1500.
What's that?
I had the same truck, but in a 1500.
The Ultimate?
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Do you have the sport mode? Is it gas or diesel?
No, mine doesn't have the sport. Does yours doesn't steer itself, will it?
No.
Oh, I heard some of the new ones will steer them down the road.
My dad's new GMC does.
I heard that.
Mine's a 24. I don't think they had that then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think the 1500s, the new ones, might be able to, it'll keep it between the lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, mine doesn't have that. I'd be texting him about it.
Mine's a 2500 diesel though. So.
Yeah, I'm getting a 2500 next.
Are you? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Question for you, because I know you've been asked 1,000 times, but I haven't asked, and everyone's wondering. Give us a picture. What's it like to grow up in the home of Kenneth and Gloria Copeland? I mean, were they two things I'm wondering. Were they? We know them as, just giants of faith. But I mean, do you remember them before they were really walking in faith? Did you watch their faith, or were they like faith since the time you could walk?
My dad went in the ministry the year I was 1 year old.
You were one when he went to ministry.
So
you don't remember him before he was a faith preacher?
No, I remember him when he wasn't as refined.
Not as refined?
I remember him when he had a temper.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Not bad. I mean, he didn't beat us, and he would whoop me for sure.
Yeah.
Like, that belt would.
Really?
Yeah, he'd pull it out like Zorro's sword, But dude, I deserved it. Don't get me wrong. I should have been whipped more. If he knew other stuff I did, I would have been whipped more. But the worst part was go to your room. I'm going to be in there in a minute. Spank you.
Yeah.
Dude, the weight was worse than the spanking. It's like, just get in here, man.
Get it over
he would
with.
say,
Yeah.
This is going to hurt me worse than you. And I was like,
not a chance.
I don't get that at all. But now, he's always in the ministry that I remember, right?
Yeah.
So
he was gone a lot then? Was he on the road?
A lot. He was on the road all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so when Kelly and I were littler, and of course we didn't.
Is she younger than you?
She's
older.
older. She's 2 years older.
2 years older. Okay.
So we didn't. And Kelly was like, preachers' kids are either really good or really bad.
Yeah.
Kelly was the good one. I was the bad one.
Okay.
I was the PK.
Yeah.
And so I remember, the little house we lived in. It's just like a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Probably 1,500 square foot house.
Yeah.
And my mom would stay home while Dad traveled. And I remember her sitting there at her typewriter, writing God's Will for You, her book.
Your mom.
Her first book, yeah. And so, but yeah, they've always been in ministry. Dad was probably gone. He probably was gone, if you added it up over a year, probably 10 months out of the year.
Wow.
He was gone a lot. And when he was home, he was Dad.
Yeah.
But he's preaching. And so I grew up with that. When I was 12, my mom started traveling too. And coincidentally, that was my breakout year for sin.
Which year?
When I was 12.
When you were 12? Yeah.
I mean, that's first time I had sex, first time I smoked weed, first time I drank.
12 years old.
Which nowadays is not that crazy, but back then,
Back then, that was bad. Yeah. That's a bad 12-year-old.
And it was just people in the neighborhood, But I was kind of like, for me, my rebellion, and that's all it was rebellion. Like, I believed in God, and I knew what my dad and mom were doing was right. I was just rebellious. It's like if you said, you can do anything, but don't push that red button, I'd be like, man, I got to push that red button. I remember flying in the airplane, and it was a 421. Dad had a 421, which is a twin Cessna. And where my seat I sat in, it had this plastic cover, clear cover over a red handle that you turn, and you push the door out. It's emergency exit. And it says, do not touch.
No.
And I would just like put my hand around it, touch it, but I wouldn't. I'm smart enough not to pull the handle. But dude, I don't know why. That was my mentality.
Yeah.
But I think for me, like when I started getting 12 and, in those teenage years, it was more proven that I wasn't a sissy to the other boys, being a preacher's kid.
Yeah.
It's the same a lot of times with kids that their dad's a cop or whatever, like in a small town. It's like they want to prove that, they can have fun too, and I'm not a sissy. And so I kind of did extra, you know. I kind of think that's part of it for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody has their different reasons for being
The
rebellious.
first time I ever got stoned, I was 7 years old, skipping church, and my stepbrother, they got us high. What did they get me high on? What was it? It was, what do you hot knife it? Hash. Yeah, it was hot knifing at hash at age 7. And
you beat me.
yeah, I beat you. Although I didn't get too serious into the bad stuff until my late teens. But yeah, no, we just, you're experimenting. You're trying this. You're trying that. I think when you grow up in the church too, I think you assume that people, you're just going to serve God, you're going to love God because your parents did. But everybody has to find God on their own.
Mm-hmm. That's the truth. At that time, Dad, my parents would be out of town. I sneaked the cars out. I wrecked 3 cars before I got my driver's license.
Your dad's cars.
Yeah.
What would he say?
He was not happy. I trashed my sister's transmission one time. She had a 280ZX. Remember those?
Yeah.
And me and my buddy got high and wanted to go to Taco Bell. And so I got in her 280ZX. And, back then, a lot of cars were standards.
Yeah.
And I took off and I shifted, but I put it in park. I had driven more standards at that time than I started driving real early, like on the farm and stuff, my grandpa's. And so I put it into park while I'm driving down the road, and it just went, and it died. I started it, put it back in drive, and it worked. So we went to Taco Bell. She used to drive us to school, and her transmission started slipping and stuff. I never told her why.
Now she knows.
Yeah, now she knows. But it was, I would sneak cars out, joyride with my friends, wreck them, whatever.
And then you started, when did you start flying yourself?
18.
18? Because your dad had planes? Was he flying when you were little? Did he have his own planes?
He flew before ministry.
Oh, really? Okay.
He was a pilot. He was a commercial pilot. He flew, he worked for aviation companies, ferrying planes and taking passengers, like charters and stuff.
Yeah.
So he's been a pilot. It's his passion.
That
he
was
loves
just part
flying. Preaching than flying.
Okay.
He'd rather be preaching. If not, he'd rather be flying. He still flies at 89.
Does he still?
Yeah. He was flying last week.
Really?
Yeah. Insurance won't let him fly the jets anymore.
Oh, really?
He has a small, a single engine Bonanza. He goes out and flies.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think this might be interesting for people have kids who are like I was and like you were evidently. When Dad would come in from out of town, he would have to deal with whatever I'd done.
Yeah.
Right. Whether I got thrown in jail, wrecked a car, whatever the thing was, and so it was very. But we were button heads. It wasn't a good relationship, from really about 12 to 16. And, at 16, I did my college years. People go to college and party.
Yeah.
I did that in high school. So when I was getting out of high school, I was getting straight, and my friends were going to college and partying,
Wow.
And so we were in this contentious relationship because it was, unless we went hunting. If we went hunting together, then it was like neutral time.
Does he love hunting?
Yeah, he does.
Deer, deer, elk?
Deer, elk, all that. Now he's older, it's, harder for him, but he shot an elk last year, shot a buffalo last year. That's all he eats. He eats game. He does, mostly all he eats as far as meat is elk and deer and now buffalo. So we're in this contentious relationship, and he came in one day and he said, well, do you got any gas in your truck? I'm like, not much. He said, let's go get some gas. And so he had this conversation with me, and he said God showed him that he was magnifying my sins.
God showed him
that he was magnifying my sins,
making your sins bigger than they were.
Well, and I was like, Dad, he goes, you think that I think you're a bad boy. And I said, I've done enough for you to think I'm a bad boy. I've been a bad boy. And he goes, I'm not going to do that anymore. Because every time he'd come home, all he would talking to me about is all the bad stuff I've done. And, he would come to my football games or baseball games when he was in town.
Yeah.
You could hear his voice out of everybody's, But in my mind, I'd already made up my mind. I need to graduate high school, and then I'm gone. I'm out of here.
And where did you want to go?
Just anywhere but there.
Anywhere else?
Yeah. And so this day he had this talk with me. He said, from now on, you're your own man. The decisions you make are yours. He goes, if you get thrown in the deepest, darkest dungeon, that's the day I'm trying to get you out. But whatever decisions you make are up to you. And it was like, there was no more contention for us. He didn't magnify my sins. He didn't, and I didn't change. Like, I was still partying and doing all that. I came in one night.
And you're how old at this point now?
16, 17, all the way up to, I really made a conversion when I was about 19. I was, I had moved out at 18. I had my own place. But our relationship changed. I didn't change then, but our relationship changed. It wasn't contentious anymore.
Because he wasn't coming down on you anymore.
I even came in drunk one night because I had a door to my bedroom to the outside, and I came in drunk, and he's like, "Don't let your mom see you like this." That's all he said.
Wow.
And fast forward till I'm like 19 or so, I had my welding company, and I had started welding for this guy here, and we were refurbishing boat docks on the lake. And he started paying me partially in cocaine. And, so that's the first time I ever done cocaine. I'm sure it was like all kinds of stepped on, Never had cocaine, so I didn't know if it was good or bad. And so I got hooked on cocaine, and
wow.
I started hearing God's voice saying, you need to put away childish things. You're going to get busted. Mm-hmm. And this was not long after Jimmy Swaggart and Baker
they all had their fall.
Gotten in trouble, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I kept hearing that voice. I kept hearing it. And I was like, if I get busted, my mom and dad are going to pay the price and the media and all that. And they haven't done anything wrong. And I don't want that. Mm-hmm. And I quit cold turkey. And I called my dad. I went and met with him. And I told him what I'd been doing. And I told him I quit, but I wanted you to hear it from me before you heard it from anybody else. And the interesting part about that is love never fails. My love for him and my mom, which I was not feeling before this conversation. I felt their love. I wasn't stupid, but it was a contentious relationship. But it was my love for them that got me to quit. It was, 4 years later or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it was still working. It was still working. Mm-hmm. And so this is a challenge I know a lot of parents have. Because you're in my house, under my roof, you follow my rules or get out. Mm-hmm. Okay? Well, if I'd have been told to get out, how do you minister to me anymore? Mm-hmm. I'm gone. If I'd have been given that ultimatum, I probably would have left.
My mom did that too. I remember I was going out and I was going to get drunk and high and everything else. And I remember her looking at me before I left, knowing perfectly well I was going to get into trouble. And she would say, honey, I don't care where you are. I don't care what time it is. I don't care what kind of condition you're in. If you need me to come and get you, please just phone and let me bring you home. I won't even talk to you on the way. Just let me rescue you. And I was too ashamed to ever call her. I remember one time almost crawling home, miles. One time I was walking home drunk and high, and I came up to this fence. She would have picked me up in a heartbeat. I'm trying to walk all the way across town. I come up to this fence, and I'm like, I don't even look through the fence. I jump the fence, not realizing there's a 30-foot cliff on the other side of the fence, and I fall all the way, whap, lay there, tilt my head, barf, lay there in my barf for another half an hour, and then I roll over and just keep crawling home because I wouldn't let my mom see me like that. But she never wrote me off. She never stopped praying. I said the same thing to
my kids, you know, and I went and got them a few times. The fact that they felt safe enough to call me to come get them. But if they're doing that, I'm not going to come down on them. Yeah. You can push your kids away. Yeah. And it's a difficult one, right? Because if your kids are out doing drugs and things like that, and I owned a drug and alcohol rehab center in Florida, and I saw so many times parents enable their kids, right? Especially moms. They don't want to put their kid out on the street, or their kid's on the street, and they say they need money, so they give them money, they buy drugs. Or they go to jail, they bail them out. They never face consequences because the parents are enabling. And I don't believe in that either. I think if they're going to go do that, like my parents did me when that time happened. They prayed, they rolled the care of me over on God. Yeah. God, he's in your hands. And then it's kind of scary though, right? If your kids are out doing that, you don't want them to die. Mm-hmm. Like that's the worst case scenario. They're going to overdose or get caught in a bad situation and die, or a car wreck or whatever. Mm-hmm. it's a tough call as a parent, right? But one thing I've seen growing up over the years is parents that are super strict and lock down their kids don't understand, they don't learn consequences. They're not allowed to make choices, good or bad, right? To learn that there's consequences to your bad decisions. And so those kids, when they get out of that environment, go to college, for example, they go wild because they haven't learned that restraint of their own, that self-discipline of their own to make good or bad decisions. I think that's what happened to Tiger Woods. I think when his dad died, that was his restrictor. That was his, like, he always kept him in check. You know, he's a former Navy SEAL and all that. He made Tiger who he is, but when he died, I think Tiger lost his boundaries. You know, he's the guy that kept him in check and all that. And so I see that with parents who are overly strict with their kids, and they go to, and I love Christian schools. I'm not saying anything bad, but they keep them in a confined environment to where they're not allowed to make decisions, and I feel like it's detrimental to them.
Yeah. Oh, I've seen that. I've seen that many times.
You can't date till you're 18, and you know they still have boyfriends or girlfriends. They just don't tell you.
Yeah.
You know, but they're still
just
gonna
keep it secret.
Yeah. Then how do you help them through that process?
Yeah.
How do you help them through a breakup? You know, and it's like, I just think that there's a level once they get really, like for me, 12, you couldn't make me do anything. Literally, I was that kind. And at 16, for sure, it's like you can confine, you can restrict, you can yell, you can spank, but they're going to do what they're going to do. Really, and it's hard to control them, especially unless you just lock them up in the house. You know, they're going out, they're going to go with their friends, they're going to go do things. You have to have trust in them that they're going to do the right thing. And if they do the wrong thing, then you teach them. You know, it's like, this is a teaching lesson right here, son. You know, there's consequences. Oh, you got thrown in jail? Well, you know, let me know when they let you out. You know, I'm not coming. I'll come pick you out.
Yeah.
But I ain't bailing you out. You know, I mean, I would hope they'd bail me out. You know? But I think learning consequences is a big part of growing up. And if you control them too much, they don't learn that.
Part of your story that probably the biggest part that resonated with me when I heard you in Ohio, because you wouldn't know this about me, but I was a traveling itinerant evangelist in ministry for many years. 2005, my life just kind of went off the rails, and I spent the next 5 years drunk in the garage, just every single night, and out of ministry. And actually, it ended up being 9 years that I was out of ministry, 9 years out of ministry. And I've just, during that season of it was just kind of this wasted time of my life.
Can I ask you, if you don't mind?
Yeah.
Why? Like, what transitioned you from ministry into that condition? Is there anything you can pinpoint?
Yeah, it was one really big thing. It was, in a nutshell, I was ministering with this other minister. He was a very anointed prophet. He could prophesy like you couldn't. I mean, shocking prophetic gift. And he was a bit of a spiritual father to me, and we traveled a bit together. I would preach, he prophesied. And but I started to notice after a few years, he started to really, he started to get darker. I could just tell I could tell sexually he was going off. Financially, it just felt like he was just always taking. And I started to pull back from him. And when I did, he turned on me, and he started really attacking me. And then I actually went to one of our leaders. We both served under this other leader. And I said, you need to deal with him because bad stuff's coming. And I got in his face. I got in this other leader's face, and I said, you need to deal with him because of this and this and this and this. And if you don't, you know, he's going to sleep with multiple women, and he's going to clean you out financially. And I was a young 25-year-old evangelist, hothead. I knew I was right, but I just did everything. I was just angry, and I went after him. And instead of firing them, they fired me. And I had a bad attitude, and I was in his face. So, I mean, I was hurt, you know, because I got fired, and they kicked me out. And then all the churches that liked me heard Steve's trying to stone the prophet. And so nobody wanted me to preach anymore.
So you just get kind of an effort attitude?
Yeah, I just said, well, screw you then. And I just went to the garage, and I had to get a job, so I went and towed to the oil patch. My ministry was over. I got a job in the oil patch, and I just started drinking, and I was drunk every single day for the next 5 years.
Wow.
And it was actually a year into that drunkenness, I got an email from that leader who fired me, and he said, I have to repent. He said, everything you said was true. He slept with multiple women in the church. He molested 2 underage girls. He went to prison for that, and he cleaned them out financially. And so, but by that time I was,
You're like, thanks
I was
a
like,
lot.
well, you should have listened. And I cracked another beer, so I was mad at God. You knew I was right. They were wrong. I thought I was so righteous because, but I was bitter. I was mad. I was pride. It was arrogance. It was all of that. And so I just stayed drunk for 5 years. But even in that garage, drunk as a skunk, I was listening to Kenneth Hagin, listening to Copeland. I was telling the Lord, Lord, one day I'm going to serve you again. One day I'm going to get right. Like, I loved God even through that dark season. And even when the 5 years ended, it still took me 4 years crawling out of that ditch. It was a slow climb. It wasn't like just one day. And it was 2014. It was July 24th. That's a bit of a long story. But God just grabbed me. And he gave me a vision, and he said, Steve, because he was actually that day, he was trying to get me to quit smoking because I love smoking, and he was telling me to quit smoking, and I said, Lord, I love you, and I did give up the porn, but I said, I need the smoke. It just helps me unwind. And I said, Lord, no, and anything but that. I said, no. And the Lord gave me a vision, and he showed me 2 futures. One was like a mountain, blessing, prosperity, souls, just millions of souls. It was just like a life far bigger than a guy like me could ever live. One was this mountain, and the other was just flat, pathetic. I still get to heaven when I die. And the Lord said, when I said, no, I'm not going to quit smoking. And the Lord said, I had big things for you, Steve. Big things. But I've changed my mind. And it was just like a train track switch. And I knew I was no longer going there. I'm going there. And that was July 24th, 2014. I fell on my knees and I wept. And I said, just wait. I said, hold on, just wait. Give me a second. I said, just wait. I said, I quit. I'll never smoke another day in my life. And you can ask me for anything and I'll do it. But just stick with Plan A. Please, I beg you, just stick with Plan A.
On that other track.
And that was 12 years ago. And John, I have been on a choke collar with God for 12 years. And he asks for things that are unreasonable all the time. And I just say yes, because I'm terrified. And that's just the honest truth. I fear God, and I know he's got good things. And I've seen the blessing of the Lord, the favor of the Lord, honestly, for 12 years. Anything I ask for, people say, not really. No, honestly, almost anything I ask for, he'd give me anything I want. I wanted to meet John Copeland. Here I am. I wanted to meet David Green from Hobby Lobby. I wanted Bill Johnson to preach at my gathering. I want anything you want. I wanted John Maxwell. I said, Lord, could I get John Maxwell too? He said, anything you want, Steve. He'd give me anything I ask. But
That's awesome.
he asked me for all sorts of stuff that I don't want to give him. And I just keep saying yes. And so this has been my life. I feel like a baby Christian. It's only 12 years. But he's got me now, and so
He's not gonna call us to do stuff that's easy.
no.
Everything he calls you to do, it's gonna take you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's gonna require faith.
Yeah.
It's gonna require leaning on him because you can't do it on your own.
Yeah.
All he's asking for is start.
Yeah.
I'll give you the tools you need for it, but you just got to start.
Yeah.
And the nice thing about it, it's not easy, but he gives you the grace to do it. And the problems that come along the way during that, he gives you the answers for it.
Yeah.
I'd rather face hard things and get the answers than just coast through life and not making any difference in the world and not fulfilling anything. I mean, that is more drudgery of not being connected with God is way harder than being connected with God doing hard things.
Yeah.
You said we were very similar in our backgrounds.
Well, and what I loved about your
similar.
story was that, like me, when I went off the rails there and I was lost in my dark season, and I mean, my mind was a gutter and I had all sorts of issues. But during that season, I just figured God was done with me. Like, God would have for sure just looked at me and said, I don't use people like you. I don't use perverts. I don't use drunks. I don't use guys like you, Steve. I would have thrown myself in the garbage for sure during that season.
Yeah.
But God just never gave up on me. And so when I listened to you in Ohio and you shared your story about how just how you went through such a dark season in your own life and how much it cost you so much and the shame of it all, but how God never gave up on you. And I'm wondering if you can go there. Can you tell a bit of that story? And especially, I guess what really ripped my heart out was that when you looked yourself in the mirror at the end, just at the bottom of the barrel and started preaching Copeland to yourself, you know.
I just had an honest conversation with
Yeah.
him. So that was powerful. Like, I don't know, I never heard of anybody doing that.
No.
I just heard God say do it at the time. But just to, you want me to go back and say how I wound up in that place?
Yeah.
So I was working here. It's my 30 years at the time, and married for 30 years. They pretty much about, because I got married at 20 years old.
Okay.
And that's when I came to work for the ministry. And so I was married, 3 kids. Our marriage, the last 5 years of it was pretty rough. It was pretty rough. It was hard. It was hard on me and my kids. There was never infidelity in the marriage. I'm glad I could walk away from that marriage with being able to say there's never been anybody else. But there was some substance abuse involved, you know, pharmaceutical, like pain pills and stuff. And it was just got crazy for my kids and me. But my viewpoint on it is, it's the cards I've dealt, you know, just live with it, even though you're miserable. But when I saw it hurting my kids, who were like 12 and 14 at the time, my 2 younger, my oldest one's already out of the house, but my 12 and 14-year-old son and daughter, it was brutal on them, you know. And so finally we had a family meeting and told her either you move out or we move out. And so she moved out.
Wow.
And, you know, so I was at the time at home during probably the last 3 years of our marriage. It's hard to remember, but I would drink. That was my coping mechanism. I'd come home, get a Crown Royal, you know, chill and watch TV. I wasn't going out partying or anything like that or to bars. I would just come home, and that was my numbing mechanism.
Yeah.
And so I was going, we'd gotten separated, and she had moved out, and I had gone to play golf that morning at the club and drank, you know, probably had a double Tito's Bloody Mary at 9:30 in the morning, drank during the golf round, hung out at the club with the guys, drank, went over to my uncle's house, had a few drinks, he lives right down the road, and then came home maybe 10:30, 10 o'clock at night, and we had a dog named Bruce, and I came home and I was like, Bruce, I'm going to go see what's out there, meaning women, you know. And so I went down to going to this bar I'd never been to, but I'd heard about it. And I got pulled over. I couldn't find it. And I'm driving back and forth looking for it. And then I later learned.
And you're already drunk.
Yeah. And I later learned that cops sit on that bar waiting for people to leave. But here I am driving back and forth.
Trying to find it.
Yeah. And so they pulled me over right in front of the bar. I was like, oh, here it is. I read the police report. Said
Here it is.
Strong smell of odor coming out of the car. They had me get out and do the sobriety test, and which a lot of that stuff I later learned. Count backwards, do the ABCs backwards, and stop at L or whatever.
Who could do that even sober?
I've heard people say, I can't even do that sober. Oh, so you saying you're drunk? Well, I failed it, miserable. And I didn't even realize, honestly, that I was that drunk. And so, you know, I had a gun in the car, had a concealed carry. So that's an illegal weapon now because you're intoxicated. So they got,
it's illegal if you've been drinking.
Yeah. And so I got an illegal possession of a weapon and intoxicated. You know, I was 3 times the limit. I was .24, the limit's .08. And I couldn't do the foot-to-foot thing, you know, on the line. And I finally, my attorney said, don't ever say that again. I was like, come on, guys, let's just get this over with. And they were saying, what? Are you too intoxicated. You shouldn't have been driving. I said, yeah. That's hard to defend in court when your attorney's trying to get you off, you know. Took me to jail, did the blood work, spent the night in jail. My uncle came, picked me up. He told me, you know, you're a effing dumb butt. And I was like, hey, I can't argue with you, man. And you know what? For me, it was a really scary moment because if this hits the papers.
Is this uncle your mom's brother? Or
Yeah, my mom's brother. At this time, he wasn't working here anymore. He had his own business after he had left the CEO here. But my Uncle Doug was like the dad to me that I could talk to about anything.
Yeah.
You know, if you talk to my dad about it, you know, he gets the Bible out, he reads some scriptures, we're going to pray.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like I get the prophet, I get the teacher, but sometimes I didn't get the dad. Doug was the dad that he understood me because he grew up like me. He did the job that I was doing at the time, you know. He passed away a few years ago. I miss him every day. And so anyway, he's there to help me. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know what's going to happen, man. But if the media found out, I'm back into the Jim Baker Swaggart position again. And I didn't want my parents to get in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, talk about living under a microscope.
I did my
whole
whole
life.
My whole life, I'm under a microscope, you know. And so year goes by, they give me a restricted license so I could drive to work, drive my kids to their games and all that. Media hadn't picked up on it, so I'm like thinking, okay, well, if they haven't heard it by now. But then I went to court a year later, and it was during a ministers' conference we were having in January every year. So I went to court, found out, you know, I'm going to have to do 40 hours community service, pay fines. I had already had blow devices on my vehicles, which is kind of embarrassing when you're taking your kids and friends to practice and you're having to blow in this thing every time. And so, you know, I think I went to court, no big deal. You know, you have to put this on everything that you register for. Like if you want your real estate license, because I'm a realtor, you have to tell them about this. You have to, anything with my pilot's license, right? Everything. It's like now that I could get one now, but I couldn't, I don't even know if I can come back to Canada yet. If you have a DUI, if you have a DUI in the States or probably anywhere, you can't come into Canada for 10 years. We're right at 10 years probably now. So,
well, we got to look into that because I've already told people I want to bring you for a men's retreat.
Well, maybe I can now. And so anyway, it really affects your life. Yeah. Well, that same week, I filed for divorce. So it was 10 months later after she had moved out. I filed for divorce. I went to court for my DUI. And my dad found out about the DUI.
Oh, he didn't know till then?
And so he calls me down to the house to tell me he's letting me go. And so
I like that when you told the story in Ohio, you said, I remember the day my dad fired me, although he remembers me resigning.
Yeah, so I'll just
he remembers a little differently.
He remembers that I resigned. So
he fired you then.
Yeah. And so I'm the kind of person that if you did it, you own it. You know, I had no excuses. He didn't know why I was getting divorced. He was thinking, because he said in the conversation, he was like, you know, I'm sure you have other women and stuff. I was like, hold on, Dad. Hold it right there. I don't know where you're getting at. There had never been another woman. Wow. And at this time, it's 31 years, you know, because I'm still technically married. And I was like, there's never been another woman in 30 years, and I don't think Marty would ever say that. And if you ask Courtney, my oldest, if you want a second opinion, I said, that's not why I'm getting divorced. I think he thought I was doing the middle-aged crazy thing, you know, just kind of lost my mind. And because when I got the DUI, that was a wake-up call for me. That was like, my kids can't have two messed-up parents, you know. And so the whole drinking thing, like I made massive life changes at that time. Yeah. Because it scared me. It's like, dude, I can't screw this stuff up. Yeah. And my kids and all that. Well, a year later, when he was having this conversation with me, I said, Dad, I explained to him, I'm getting divorced for my kids' sake. I got to get them out of this mess. And so I was explained all that to him, but it was a done deal. Like it had already, my brother-in-law George is already told he's going to be CEO. Dad wasn't there to talk about it. He was just there to let me know what's going on. And I told him, I was like, Dad, I know this is harder on you than it is on me. So I'm sorry I put you in this position. We've never had a cross word about it.
Really?
Ever. I think the biggest thing that hurt him is I didn't tell him.
Right. About the DUI.
Yeah. Because he's always said, look, if you do something and you come to me, I'll help you. But if you keep it from me and you lie to me, there's consequences. Yeah. Like when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You do something wrong, hey, come tell you, you're not going to get a spanking or whatever. And so I think that probably upset him the most that I didn't come to him. But I just told him, I was just hoping nobody ever find out. And nobody really had, And it was another minister, my wife, or ex-wife now, told, and if I said her name, you would know it. She told him.
Oh, really?
I told my wife, don't tell nobody. Because if I get fired, it hurts you and it hurts the kids, right? Even though we're getting divorced, it's going to hurt you financially. And so she told somebody that told him. And so anyway, fast forward. Well, at that time, so think about it, 5-day period, I got fired. I went to court for my DUI, and I filed for divorce. And so in my mind, I'm thinking...
That's a really bad week.
Yeah, it's a bad week. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm free.
Yeah, my life is over.
I'm free from...
You're out of the fishbowl.
Yeah, I'm out of the fishbowl.
You're right off to the whole Christian world.
I'm out of the fishbowl. I'm out of a bad marriage. I mean, not yet. It's going to take a whole nother year to get out of that for it to be final. But my attorney had told me, look, you've been separated 10 months. Judge don't care. Go live your life. And so I was like, cool. Talk about women, dating and all that. And bro, I let it. I partied.
Really?
I said, F it to everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go have fun and see what I've been missing, And so I gave it a good go, man. It's like, I went out. I was on all the dating apps, Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. I even tried Farmers, whatever.
Farmers?
The farmer one, that was like...
You went on the redneck dating app?
It was terrible, bro. I was on it for like a day, and I was like, this is terrible. But, dude, I was on the hunt. I was chasing. I mean, that was the number one thing on my mind.
Wow.
And because I, hadn't been with nobody else. I dated a stripper for 6 months.
Dear Lord.
I know. Dude, I was off the rails, man. I was off the rails.
Well, how did your kids respond? Did they know that you were going nuts?
They didn't know everything.
They didn't know.
My son walked in. I had in that house we were living in. We moved out of the other house and got another house, just me and my kids. And I got all new furniture. Everything was different because I didn't want any memories from the old house. Yeah. Right? And it was a great house, and the school was just right there. And they're both teenagers and driving. And so, I didn't have to be there all the time. I could go out at night, and they get up, they go to school, whatever. But yeah, they got real worried about me. I wasn't being a good father. My son.
Remind me, how were you making money in that time?
I got a severance package.
Oh, you got a severance package.
Yeah, so I was looking for what do I want to do next. I was trying to figure out my next business thing. And but I had some time to work it out,
right.
And so, yeah, I was chasing, and of course we lived out kind of in the country, and everybody was in Dallas. Like all my dates would be in Dallas. So if I drive to Dallas and drink, I can't drive home. Right, because I got the blow thing in my car. So I'd either Uber. My Uber bill for that year, I bet it was in the thousands of dollars. I was spending money, man, and going on dates. A lot of first dates, not many second dates, because there's a lot of. Yeah. There's not. I mean, honestly, it's
just shallow.
But man, I did that, and I blew it out. And in hindsight, looking back, I got it out of my system. Yeah. I'm glad nothing happened. I'm glad I didn't get something that I couldn't get rid of. I can't get anybody pregnant, so that ain't gonna happen. I've been, clipped for that. But
you're an RV, huh? You're a recreational vehicle.
Yeah, and so I haven't heard that. So anyway, it's I blew it out, but then I realized how empty and no value I wasn't missing anything. I kind of figured that out, you know.
So how did you come to that place where you're looking yourself in the mirror saying,
It was a process. So I went through that blowing off that first year, and then I went into a couple different business ventures. One was in Detroit with buying real estate, and the other one was in Panama City Beach, Florida.
did you move to Detroit?
No, dude, I wouldn't move to Detroit. No offense to Detroit people, but dear Lord, I wouldn't move to Detroit.
So it's just buying real estate?
Buying real estate. I had a partner there who wound up stealing all my properties. It turned out I lost I have a $3 million judgment against him. Wow. He stole everything. You know, when you do fraud,
Yeah.
and that triples the penalties for the. So I lost $1 million.
Wow.
But because of fraud, it goes up to $3 million. So I have a settlement, but he ain't got nothing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's that kind of thing. You know, I
Yeah.
won, yay, but don't have anything from it. And then I opened up a drug and rehab center in Panama City Beach, Florida, like a men's full detox medical thing.
Wow. And what brought you to that? Why that?
My partner down there, I've known him for 30 years. We've been like brothers.
Yeah.
And we don't even speak now. I can't. That's why I left it. It become unworkable with him.
Oh, yeah.
But I walked away from that too. Another $1 million gone.
Wow.
And so, anyway, I go to Florida. My youngest daughter graduated high school, went to college in Arkansas. So now I'm free to move because I was flying back and forth. And so I go to Florida, move down there, live on the beach, beautiful condo. You know, wake up, you can see dolphins swimming by in the ocean. It's a beautiful town. And so I'm doing
Where in Florida?
Panama City Beach.
Oh, Panama. Okay.
And, you know, and being single, that's fun too. I mean, you know, spring break rolls around, and from then all the way to September, it's, you know, there's 90 million people visit there, and there's like 12,500 locals. So it's a party town. It's known for spring breakers. It's not so bad now. They outlawed alcohol on the beach during March to try to keep that.
Cool it down a bit.
It got so out of hand down there. But I enjoy it. You know, I enjoyed being there. I made some good local friends. But I was still drinking.
Yeah.
You know, here I am, have a rehab center, and I'm out at bars drinking with friends. But it was just, this is not, one, I still love God. I wasn't seeking God, you know, like during the first year down there. I wasn't bitter towards God in any way. I just wasn't communing, you know, just doing my own thing still. Just wasn't as wild as I was, you know, that year before.
See, that's like me during the last 4 years. The first 5 years, I was just reckless. But then it was just kind of, I never stopped loving God. I never stopped wanting God. It was just, I wasn't willing to say yes to him yet.
Same. So I'm down there doing that, not enjoying my work because of my partner, but, you know, I have good friends. You live on the beach. It's not a bad place to be, but I knew God had more for me. You know, I knew that this is not my calling. I've done too much in ministry and other things for this to be, and I was a realtor too. I got my real estate license down there. And I was like, you know, real estate's it's a good trade. It's a good business. I love real estate. Didn't really love being a realtor. I love investing and I love real estate, you know, for that. But I started asking, what's my purpose, God? I know you got more for me. What's my purpose? But this time, you know, I kind of came back around. I was like, started reading the Bible, started praying, started seeking him, but I get crickets, man. I can't hear nothing. And then I was like, started reading about Job, you know, because I felt like I was in a Job situation here. And when you read Job, dude, you think you ever have it bad?
Go read Job.
Go read Job, you know. I mean, he lost his whole family. He lost all of his wealth and everything. But then I read, you know, that God restored him, you know. And then I read Purpose-Driven Life.
Yeah, Rick Warren.
Yeah, Rick Warren. And, you know, you're supposed to read it over 40 days, like chapter a day or whatever. I just read it, you know, and read through it. And I still wasn't hearing. And I had gotten so negative. I got negative, you know, because of my finances. I got negative because of my businesses, what's going on with that. I got negative about everything, my words, you know. And you know, when you get kicked in the head every day, you feel like you get kicked in the head every day. You kind of expect to get kicked in the head tomorrow. when everything is going wrong. Nothing is going right. And I feel like a complete failure, you know? Whereas I know business. I know how to do business. I've made some what I felt like were good investments, but nothing's going right. And a lot of it wasn't my fault. A lot of it was my partners, like the guy that stole all of our property in Detroit, and like my partner that I was working with in Florida. It was just, some of it wasn't my fault, you know? And so,
Except when the blessing of the Lord lifts off your life,
when you're out of the will of God,
you're out of the will of God. Nothing is going your way. It doesn't matter how smart you are, how good you are at business. The blessing of the Lord is gone. Everything's going to go bad.
This was the key. This was the key for me. It's the key for you as well. It's the key for everybody. God has made it so simple for us. He's given us all the tools we need to change any situation we're in. He gave us the Word of God, and He gave us His mouth.
Come on.
Those two things right there can get you, it'll change your position in life. It will change your level where you're at. And I grew up with that. That's the crazy part. Like, I've known that my whole life. I have believed that my whole life. But here I am out in this wilderness, and I have forgotten it. This is how stupid we are, right? It's like you can have all these experiences where God's moved in your life, and He got you out of this, and He got you out of that, and He got you out of that. But now this new situation, I don't know if He can get me out of this one. You know, it's like we're like the people wandering in the wilderness, and they're like, God gives them raiment, and He says, don't keep the raiment. Yeah. Oh, okay, I'm going to keep the raiment, and it spoils, you know? It's like, they were like dents, you know? And so what I started doing, about all I could muster was, today's going to be the best day of my life.
Wow.
Like when I wake up
It
in
was
the
just
morning,
that one declaration. You just start with that.
I started with that. It's like, today is going to be the best day of my life. And if it wasn't, tomorrow, today's going to be the best day of my life.
Wow.
And so I started walking and praying. I do better walking. Of course, I had a beach to walk on too, which was nice. But if I get up early in the morning and sit down on a couch or something and start praying, I'm going to be
Sleep.
I'm out. Have you ever heard Jerry Savelle's story? Like when he was trying to pray.
Oh, he stood on a
He stood
bathtub?
on the edge of the bathtub to pray so he wouldn't fall asleep. But I walk. But when I walk, it's like my mind works well when I walk too. And so I started speaking over myself. It's like, I'm strong. My body is strong. My mind is strong. My spirit is strong. I'll fulfill everything God's called me to do. I will know my calling, and I will fulfill it. I will fulfill everything He called me to do. My bank accounts are full. Everything I set my hand to prospers. My family is prosperous. Because I had some struggles with my kids, you know, that had grown. But it's like they were upset with Dad. They were not proud of Dad anymore, you know. They love me, but they were, you know, rightfully so, frustrated with me. It's like my family relationships are good. I pray over my mom and dad. I pray over, you know, and it was like I was calling myself who Jesus sees me as.
Yeah.
Not what I see myself. Even though I was still, technically I felt like a failure, nothing has changed my circumstances at all. The only thing that changed is my attitude and my words.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about little things like go play golf. You know, it gets hot in Florida, you know, and it's like go play golf and you're sweating, you know, like crazy and it's hot. I would be out there grumbling. Wow, man, it's so hot out here. And, you know, and it's like you're playing with other guys and, yeah, man, it's hot, you know. And I decided I'm not doing that. I grew up in Texas, man. I'm used to hot. And so I would go play. I wouldn't worry about the heat. You know what? I enjoyed my golf better. I played better. It's the attitude. And what happens when you change your words, then your expectations change. Instead of me expecting things to go wrong, I was expecting God to do things in my life and move in my life. And so it changes, like when you change the words, it changes your expectations. Yeah. And when your expectations change, which is faith, you can have faith and things are going to go bad. You can have faith in the thing that you're
And that'll work for you. Your faith will work.
Yeah, like I dated a girl that she was like, they always lose my luggage when I fly. Every time I fly, they lose my luggage. And we went to Europe, you know, and it's like, lost her luggage. I said, have you ever considered quitting saying that? And it's like, we create the world we live in.
Yeah.
Even if you're not a Christian, it works.
Yeah.
Because it's a spiritual law. Words have power. You create things in motion. You know, they believe in people who don't like prosperity and all this other stuff and name it, claim it, but they believe in manifesting, you know, and, you know, like speaking over themselves and saying positive affirmations and all that. It works
Yeah.
because it's a spiritual law. How much stronger is it when it's in faith with God?
Yeah.
Right? And so I started doing that. My attitude started changing. I still wasn't hearing God like I used to, you know? And so what I heard was move back to Texas. That was the only thing I heard, and I wanted to move back to be closer to mom and dad. My mom was facing some stuff, with dementia and things like that, and hard on my father. And I didn't want to come home one day and her not remember me.
Yeah.
But she's doing much better now.
Praise God.
So I came home to be closer to them. I was just going to do real estate in Texas, get my Texas license. That was the first thing I could hear to do, and so I did it. Came back to Texas. So I was going to go to real estate school. If I do it online, I'll never finish it. I'm like, squirrel, I'm just too distracted. So I was going to do it in person. It's 3 weeks. And so I remember walking into class one day, and a girl was walking out, and I just smiled at her, I'd already done, let me go back a little bit. I'd already quit the whole, dating apps. I said, God, if it's going to happen, it's you.
And you're going for God now. Yeah.
Huh?
You're going for God.
I was, not to say that I wouldn't have hooked up with somebody if they wanted to. I just wasn't seeking it, but I wasn't perfected yet.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfected, I was still pretty fleshly, I guess. And so I had gotten
Can I just say, I love how just real and honest you are. That's what I think, why it gave me such hope, even for when I watched my kids and I was listening to you. Because many people who sit in the faith ministry, and I'm not talking about leaders, I'm just saying people who have been in the faith camp for decades, some of them become very plastic, where it's just like, how are you doing? Oh, bless God, brother. I'm blessed and highly favored. Everything's good. It's like, well, didn't your mom just die on Tuesday? Well, I don't want to confess that. It's like,
no, dude,
some people are just so afraid to admit just life and real and where they're at. And I just thank you for your vulnerability.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Because if we want to reach this next generation, if the faith movement is going to impact the next generation, it has to be real.
Can I speak to that for a second? Because, when Dad started ministering, Dad can't stand religion.
Yeah.
The traditions of man. Dad was like, read the Bible, do what it says, right? But you have these denominations and different sects, if you will, that, the Baptists and the Catholics, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but so much of it is just traditions of men.
Yeah.
It doesn't really say it in here.
Yeah.
Right? And so Dad's always preached against religion. It's about a relationship with
Yeah.
Jesus, right? Just do what he says. And so what I've seen in the Word of Faith is we have become a denomination. Even though there's not a technical denomination, we have become traditional in the way we do things, just like other denominations have, right? It's not really evolving like it should. It's like very traditional now, like a lot of them. A lot of them aren't, you can't lump everybody together. But what I can't stand is when people stand on that platform and act like they're perfect.
Boom.
And it's like, no, you're not. I mean, Dad has, we all have issues. Look, we're all at different levels. This is like me coming back now, like back in the fold and back, running with God. My biggest passion, I've always been empathetic and compassionate towards people. And I'm not really judgmental. I mean, I guess I judge judgmental Christians, but I don't judge people for what they're going through in their life. Right? I never was like that because I already been through it when I was younger, right? I have understanding that this is a tough battle. Addictions is a tough battle. And so me coming back, my empathy and my compassion levels are up here now.
Yeah.
It's like, I want to grab you out of this hole that you're in, out of this stupor, and pull you up. And what you said earlier, it's like, no matter what you've done or where you're at,
Come on.
God will use you. He will use you right now, not a week or two or 6 years when you get better. He will use you right now. We're all at different levels, And so for my dad, he repents over stuff I don't even know you need to repent over. Like he said something about a former president, and he goes, Lord, I repent. Shouldn't have said that. I go, but it was true, Dad. So he repents over stuff that I wouldn't even think about repenting. And so we're all at different levels, but it doesn't mean God won't use you.
Yeah.
None of us are perfect. That's when I see people that stand up there and act like because here's a problem with it, right? I've always just been genuine and real. But the problem with when they look at you, take my dad or somebody that's, Jesse Duplantis or whoever, a big speaker, they're like, I can see how God can work in your life because you're this faith giant, But for me, I have this issue. I did this in the past. I'm doing this right now. It's like, I see how he works for you, but he probably wouldn't work for me because of all my issues. Well, it's wrong.
No, totally wrong.
You know what? You know how Satan uses it with guilt, shame, condemnation? He will stop you from talking to somebody else about Jesus because you see your issues, and who am I to talk to them? I'd be a hypocrite. No, you're not a hypocrite. You're supposed to talk to them. I've had some of the best, ministry type moments sitting in a bar, drinking, talking to the guy next to me, like when I was in Florida and stuff.
Yeah.
And just, man, we would start talking about God, and it's like God will use you. He will use you anywhere and whatever you're doing. Now, our goal should be to be more like him every day, right? We shouldn't stay where we're at. We should be advancing to be more like him, but we will never be perfect. And I think in this world where everything is fake, I told you my wife and I got off of social media at the beginning of the year, and it was more about just hearing the noise, and you don't know what's true anymore. And Charlie Kirk was it was kind of like the last straw for me, because it's like, one, a horrible incident, right? But his mic blew up. It was them that shot him. It was the Jews that shot him. It was the trans people. It's like, I don't believe the story we're getting, being a hunter and shooting a lot of guns. And I don't believe that narrative. Don't know who killed him, but it's just noise. And then it feeds you your algorithms. It's going to feed me why I should not like liberals. It's going to feed liberals why they should not like conservatives, right? And it divides people and all that. So there's so much fake now, especially with AI. My wife and I were looking at some tropical location. I don't remember. I don't remember where it was. And so we went on to YouTube, and so we're looking for, the travel people who travel and go there, tell you about the places to go, blah, blah, blah. And we had to go through so much AI, just all AI content.
To get to something real.
Yeah, it's like AI put this video together. And it shows pictures, how it does sometimes that aren't the real picture. It's just pulled something. And it took us a while to find a real couple that went there and traveled, because AI is basically free, right? This couple spent probably thousands of dollars to go do this. I think there's going to be this switch, especially now with all this AI stuff, where people are hungry for real. Yeah. Now, I already know it in the church and in ministry world. I know that's true. Yeah. They're tired of fake. Everything's fake. Instagram, Facebook, social media, all that's fake. They see fake all the time. You see the news, fake, majority of it. And it's like people are going to be so hungry for something real. Yeah. And people just want
And
real.
This generation, even more than the last. If they think you're plastic, they are not listening to you.
No, and it's like, dude, I don't go through all the stupid stuff I did and learn from if I don't share it. Yeah. Because I know people are doing the same thing. Yeah. And it's like, if you think I'm just here and I'm perfect and you don't know what I came out of, how do you know that you can come out of it too? I'm not as...
Well, and anyone now could come to you and share their heart and know that you're not going to be shocked or mortified or push them away. So you did, I know your staff are going to steal you away soon.
That's all right. They work for me. We can keep talking.
All right. You did get married. You met a beautiful...
That's where I was going to go. So I went to real estate school. The girl walked out, smiled at me. I smiled at her. I wasn't really hitting on her, but, she was pretty. So we go to school, and back then I was vaping,
Okay.
Like nicotine vapes, and she vaped too. And so in the class, you had to stand up and say where you're from, And so I said, I'm from here, but went to Florida, came back. We're outside, me and her, vaping at like the 10 o'clock break. She goes, so what do you think about Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida? I said, he's a bad A. I love him. So for her, it kind of settled we can have some political conversations. Well, the next day after vaping, I said, you want to go to lunch today? And she's like, yeah. And so, we came out for 12 o'clock for lunch, and I said, "Do you want to ride with me or do you want to meet me?" She said, "I'll meet you." We literally got in both cars and drove like half a block to a taco place. And we sat and we talked and just talking about life and where we're at and talking about God. And we had a real connection, you know, and it's like just felt really, I really enjoyed talking to her. We seem to have gone through similar things recently, coming back, you know, to God and everything.
Did she have any clue who your family was?
Oh, no, not for like a week and a half.
For a week and a half?
Yeah. And so, you know, I don't lead with that.
No, absolutely not.
So we had kept going to lunch, and now we're starting to see, like, you know, we really enjoyed each other. We still weren't like romantic or anything like that. And she got on my Facebook, and she just went to the pictures. It's like, "Are you an influencer or something? Because you post one picture and get like 1,000 likes." And I said, "Well, I'm surprised you didn't see who my dad was." And it hit her. I could see it on her face because she grew. It turns out she grew. The only Copeland she knew was Kenneth Copeland. And then she was like, "No way." I was like, "Yeah." She said, "I grew up listening to your mom and dad and
Get
Super Kids."
out. And Super Kids.
Her dad went to Jerry Savelle's Bible school.
Unbelievable.
And I was like, "Oh, it makes sense now. We have the same spirit." I dated a lot of Christians, but that's a big spectrum.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just saying you're a Christian. And it was like, man, it made sense then. And it almost scared her off.
Really?
Yeah, because she's like, "I don't know if I want to get mixed up in all that, you know, that's a lot." And dude, we kept going to lunch for that 3 weeks, and you know, she wound up moving in like 2.5 weeks in, because I was out of town. I was in Florida, and she said, "I'm in a situation. I got to get out of where I'm at." And I said, "Well, I'll call my apartment, and they'll give you a key, you know, and you can take your stuff, go over there." But yeah, so she moved in, and so we've been together ever since. We got married like a year later, and you know, she's young. She's 28, and
I remember when you were preaching there in Ohio. You said, "That's my wife. There's an age gap. Get over it." The whole place just exploded in tears.
I'm telling you, God, though, I mean, God has a sense of humor. Like so I was still going through a really hard time with my businesses. And my partner in Florida, I was losing people over it, family, because they were mad at him, but it really had nothing to do with me, because his daughter lives here, and she's a close friend, and her husband's, I'm introduced them. They're both close friends. And it was causing me a lot of consternation. And I mean, so I was broke. When she met me, I was struggling to pay rent. And so it wasn't like she being with me for the money or nothing like that. Thank God, you know. Like it's if you've got money, you wonder, do they like you, or do they just you know, want you to take care of them? And so she helped me through all that. We were both seeking God together, kind of in a similar situation. We were both still working on ourselves, right? And we still are, but we've been together now. It's like 4 years, and so we've been married for a year, May. And dude, it's been great. But I wasn't looking to come back here to KCM. And so my dad texted me one day, and he goes, "Hey, you work for me now." And I was like, "Okay, I don't know what my job is, but I'm glad to be on board." He goes, "You work for me personally. Whatever we want to do, whenever we want to do it, nobody can say nothing." I was like, "Cool," because I needed to get paid, you know. And so, it wasn't a lot, but it paid my bills and everything. Dude, it was the first time.
Just being with him again.
It was the first time I knew I was doing something that God called me to do. I knew my purpose. And what greater honor to be able to spend time with my father, you know. And here he is. He was 88 at the time, 87, 88. And I'd never spent more time with my dad in my life. Even when I was here as CEO, I'm busy. He's still traveling. You know, we'd see each other, and we'd have, you know, talk business sometimes, whatever. But dude, I was with him every day. He has a closet. He got a couple chairs in there. You know, we'd sit in his closet and talk. You know, he loves to tell stories now in his old age, and I've heard them all 1,000 times. But it was 2 weeks after that Brother Jerry died. And so I was able to be there for him for that.
That ripped his
Two
heart
and a
out.
half weeks after that, his appendix ruptured. He was in the hospital, and I think it was the stress from, because Dr. Colbert said, that stress hits your appendix. So he was in ICU for like 2 weeks, and so I was there, man, staying at the hospital with him, taking him appointments afterwards, and it's been great, man. I'm just telling you, I've never, because my dad I grew up with traveling, right? He's always gone. I miss, if I'm not with him for a couple of days, I miss him. I generally hey, Dad, what are you doing? You good? It's been great. And to think that that we could have that really couple years of just hanging out, doing fun stuff, and helping him. God is so good. He is so good. And then there were some circumstances that happened that I wound up coming back to CEO. And so now here I am doing this again. And it's you think you're at the bottom. And you are. You may be at the bottom.
You think it's over.
And God can change it so fast. Just as fast as it can destruct, God can change it back. But it's your words, it's your attitude, and of course now coming back, I always used to chase wealth. I don't know if you remember the Rob Report. It was
Rob Report?
Shopping for the Affluent. And so I would get this, I had a subscription to this magazine, and it has, Cartiers and the cars, and, it's just rich people book. I would look at that, seeing myself having that, I wanted wealth. That's why I was always investing in real estate, or I was doing business deals and that kind of thing. I was trying to build my wealth, which is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But now, I don't even hardly think about it. I still will do real estate. I'm always going to get real estate. But I don't have that. Look at me, man. This is what I wear to work. I'm a CEO of a big company with 450 employees, and I'd wear jeans and boots and a polo shirt and a cap.
Yeah, I told your staff you didn't have to wear a suit to be on Kingdom BS.
That's great. I don't remember the last time I wore a tie. I think it's probably a funeral. And so it's the things that I used to want.
Yeah,
I don't
matter anymore.
You know what? When you go broke, I used to not look at the menu of how much something was. I'd just order it, right? But when you're looking at it and it's okay, well, this is cheaper than that. You go back to having to watch what you spend and do all. You realize what you don't need. You really do. When I was making a good paycheck, you got the kids and you get the bigger house and you take the trips and you do all these things. I've never had the love of money, but toys and and all this stuff and Gucci shoes or whatever, and it's don't need any of that. And you learn what you need when you go broke, right? And so for me, it's all about this. It's all about kingdom now. It literally is. And it's to be here at the ministry, come full circle, right? Dude, I'm telling you, God is so good. And so I had this aha moment at the ministers conference here in January this last year. And, I've done some speaking over the years, not a lot. I've never felt called to preach. I even asked Oral Roberts one time years ago. Dad went to California to visit. And I said, and what an honor. That was the last time I ever saw Oral Roberts. And I said, Brother Roberts, let me ask you a question. How do you know when you're called to preach? And he said, if you don't have a burning, yearning desire to do it and you think you're going to die if you don't, he said, don't do it. He said, there's too many people out there preaching that are not called to do it. Well, for me, I was probably 35 maybe at the time, and that took pressure off of me, right?
Wow.
But at the ministers conference, they were doing we had that next gen thing. We had the ministers conference, which is a normal conference, but this last year we did a next generations thing in another building next to it. With the thinking, we kind of planned it late, so it wasn't as well attended, but there was quite a few people there. But the thinking was the senior pastors are over here in the main auditorium, and then the youth pastors and other people are over here for the younger. So we had younger teachers. It was geared, younger people and all that. turns out there was a lot of people like 50 years old and all that over there. But man, it was great. And they asked me to be on a panel. And, you know, when Courtney sets me up for stuff, I don't really like, tell me what you want me to do, where you want me to go. And so I'm walking over to the panel. I have no idea what it's about. So I walk in and like, what are we talking about anyway? And it was about secession, you know. And it had Jerry Savelle's grandson, Preston. It had Billy Brim's grandson, I think Brandon, who has a church in L.A., and Courtney was on there, and me. And I was thinking, man, I always do this when I'm going to speak. And it's like, I don't know what I'm going to say. I'll probably finish in like 10 minutes, you know. But I've always trusted the Holy Spirit. That's one thing I've always done. Look, God, I'm going to trust you. You're going to fill my mouth, all of you, none of me. He's always been faithful to do it. And so we go up to the night before,
Tim Ross.
Tim Ross. He's real popular. I'd never heard him speak, so I came over to hear that. And it was really good. But on the way home, God showed me something, you know. Like I really got a revelation out of it for something. And I come back into this panel, and I'm sitting up there and waiting. You know, Courtney's also on the panel and hosting it. And we started talking. And, man, for the first time, I had this thing in me.
Burning.
I had to get out.
Come on.
Like, you know, I've spoke before, but it wasn't just like God gave me something the night before that I had no idea was for this moment. And I'm sitting up there, and it's like, man, I got to speak. You know, it's like, I got to get this out. And so I started talking, and dude, after a while, I was like, dude, I need to listen to these other people talk. That was the first time, though, that I've had that, like the
Which is
unction.
really, it's this year.
Yeah.
That the first time that you've really felt a burden to preach.
Yeah.
Because, when you spoke in Ohio, you kind of got up and you made it sound like me. Just so you know, I'm not a preacher. Don't expect Kenneth Copeland here. But people really respond, but they respond to how real you are. Like, you're not saying, well, you know, sometimes I don't want to confess that I had a problem unless it was 10 years ago. 10 years or more, then I'll confess it. But to say, no, actually just a couple of years ago, I was living in a way that was just not pleasing to God. It was unbiblical. And you know what? God never gave up on me. Here I am. And you know what? I've grown, I've matured, and I'm not where I was, and I wouldn't do that again. But I'm also not going to hide that from you because I want you to know there's hope for you. Because people who are listening to this right now, they have sin in their lives right now. And they want to know that they don't have to sit in a penalty box for 10 years before God can use me. So it gives people so much hope,
So that-
just how raw and real and honest you are.
That night, driving home, that's where I said, God, I give it all to you. I'd already told him I'll do whatever you ask me to do. You know, I said that in Florida. I will do whatever you ask. I'm yours. But when I go down and do like tape the broadcast or something like that, I've never wanted to be the guy on the camera, the guy on the stage. I'm the guy backstage, right? I've never wanted to be the guy sitting here. And so I told him, I was like, I'm 100% in. If you want me to do it, I'll do it, and I will do it gladly. I'm not going to grumble. I'm not going to say, man, I hate doing this, because it's a drain, like to go down and tape and all that, or I get drained socializing. You know, I'm an introvert by nature. I've learned to be an extrovert. And but man, just to totally surrender. So like when you said this, you know, my first thought was, I don't want to do it. You know, I liked your video. I could tell like it'd probably be fun, like it is. You know. But I sent it to Courtney. I was like, should I go be on the show? She's like, yeah. And so I've got somebody, Tracy Harris in Texarkana, asked me to come speak at a ministers conference. So I'm doing that next week. I've yielded to it. You know, same thing. What am I going to say? I have no idea. But I know when you step out and you're obedient, he's always right there.
Yeah. Well, and if all you did was convince the next generation that the Word of God and your mouth matter, just that message, I mean, we've got to get that to the next generation. And your story, it brings it to life.
Yeah, I think that what I've been seeing, like this is just my personal observation of things, like what I'm seeing going on in the country and stuff, is You got people like Jelly Roll and Brandon Lake singing together, right?
Mm-hmm.
Jelly Roll is still rough. Like, he's turned his life over to God, but man, he's, say we're all at different places.
Mm-hmm.
He's in a different place.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has to grow.
Do you know him?
No, I'd love to.
Yeah, I said last week to my wife, do you think there's any chance I could get Jelly Roll to come to, I mean, honestly, that guy is burning right now.
Yeah. So you got him and Brandon Lake singing songs together. That song, Hallelujah, I love it.
Yeah, it's
Now,
great.
Brandon Lake gets criticized for singing with him. Judgmental Christians are judging Jelly Roll, who's just as saved as they are, right? He may be dealing with different things in his life. He's just as saved as they are. He's going to go to heaven just like they are, right? But this guy's reaching hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. Like, if you pull up videos on YouTube and you see him in a stadium with 80,000 people, an outdoor stadium, and everybody's singing hallelujah with their hands up, they came to hear a concert, right? And they're up there singing hallelujah, and there's a big drum cross up in the sky. Wow. And it's like he's reaching people that the pastor down the road is not going to reach, right? They're seeing his life be different. And then you have people like Sean Ryan, right? I watched Sean Ryan. I listen to Sean Ryan podcast. And do you know who he is?
I've listened to bits of him.
He's up there with Rogan and stuff.
Yeah, he's
so I started listening to him because he's military. He's Navy SEAL, CIA contractor. So I was going there listening to war stories because it interests me. I'm about guns, and I would never went to the military, but part of me would have liked to. I think I would have been good at it, but those stories interest me. And so they'll have that Special Forces guy, Delta, DevGru guys on there talking about their life. He starts from a childhood, and he goes through their childhood, military career, and then after, and what they're doing now. Like 2-hour podcast. So I listened to it driving in the car. And Sean got saved a couple of years ago. So he's in this new walk, right? Now, Sean was, he was like a lot of the guys that come back from war, depression, suicidal, drugs, alcohol. They're just jacked up from everything that they've experienced. And so many of these guys who are warriors, right? They're straight up killer machines that are trained warriors. They go through this process. They go through the war. They talk about, guy came around the corner, shot him in the head with 7.62, canoed his head. They're dropping F-bombs on the show. They're cussing, whatever. And then you get back to, okay, you come back, you're dealing with all these problems. He's like, yeah, I was suicidal, man. I had a gun in my mouth. He's like, what happened? He goes, I got saved. I found Jesus. And now the guys in ministry or whatever, there's a lot of them now in ministry and things like that, and they're doing good. And, Sean's learning, so you watch him go through this process of, he'll have a Catholic exorcist on there, right, who does exorcism, and he's talking about that. And so he has people on there. It's not just military. So now you can tell he's trying to learn about God, and he has a long way to go. He had a guy on there from religious business who hates us and just lies about us all the time, right? And that guy told so many lies. And, here he's on Sean Ryan. I wrote Sean a letter. I told the truth on every lie. There's like 12 of them. And I never heard back, but I wasn't mad at Sean. I was just telling him this guy, that guy, their deal is, if you're paid to preach, then you're corrupt. You don't need a church. You just need you're your own church. That was so he discredited himself really with a lot of believers. But you're seeing these guys they're not perfect.
No.
Right? But Sean Ryan is reaching guys about Jesus. There's people that watch that show because they respect him as manhood, and he's an alpha, he's a trained warrior, and he has these other strong guys on there who have done amazing things in their military careers, and they love Jesus. So you can be a warrior, you can be an alpha and be compassionate, loving, and kind at the same time. Absolutely. That's what we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be men. We're supposed to be leading our families. We're supposed to be standing up for God, speaking to people about God. And you're seeing it because the society wants to take people's identity. That's what this whole identity thing is. I'm a furry or I'm a whatever, It's like Satan's trying to steal people's identity, and they've really been trying to steal the identity of the man.
Yeah.
And you should be soft, and you should be a beta male, and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, no. And you're seeing men now for the first time, more men are going to church than women.
Yeah, no, it's a huge shift. It's a huge shift.
So these people that I think where I wanted to go with this was these people who are not perfect, they obviously have issues they're working on, are reaching Jesus, and people are being moved by it. And this is where the religious, judgmental church needs to shut up, quit being that way, and just love people. That's it, man. Just be like Jesus. You know who probably your biggest critics are Christians.
Oh, 100%.
Those are the people that hate them. Their whole ministry is about attacking other ministries. I don't remember seeing that in the Bible.
We got guys who will watch every sermon I preach, every podcast. They'll go through this one. They'll take a little clip. They'll pull it out. They'll spin it and twist it. And, I just don't listen anymore.
No, they put stuff on there for, clickbait.
Yeah, it's just clickbait. At the end of the day, you know what? We are here to win souls. Charlie Kirk, his death, it just seemed to make soul winning easy. And ever since his death, winning souls, and you're seeing it more and more. Some of these celebrities, and like you say, they're raw, they're rough. But now all of a sudden, people have a boldness.
Russell Brand,
bold. He'd be a great podcast. I'd love to get him on.
You
don't know his
Charlie
phone
Kirk,
number, do you?
I think Charlie Kirk, one of the things he did, you were seeing these major, these big baptismals happen in colleges.
Yeah.
You're seeing these big prayer groups. Like the Ohio State football team had a prayer group that just grew to thousands.
Yeah.
And coincidentally won the national championship,
Coincidentally.
Yeah. And so it's I think Charlie had a lot to do with that, but all the media shows is the riots, right, over Israel or whatever the thing. While on the other side, you having this revival breakout, and the revival is coming from the young people.
Yeah.
That's where it's coming out of, right? And I think people are starting to recognize I don't have to be perfect to be Christian. And that's the biggest thing they should get over. You're never going to be perfect, man. No. That's just it. Nobody is. So you might as well just go out and do what you need to do. Talk about Jesus and lead people to the Lord. And every day you're going to just get closer, more like Jesus, more like Jesus. We'll never get there till we get to heaven,
So in a world like that, where do you see the future of KCM? Where do you want to see this ministry go? How do you see yourself really reaching this next generation? What's the emphasis? What's the focus?
It's just like here at the ministry. So, obviously mom and dad are older. I believe their message, though, the message is timeless.
Absolutely.
Now, you might have a hard time getting a 25-year-old to watch a 89-year-old in suspenders on TV, but the message is still right. So our ministry's donor-based ministry, and most of our people, our demographic is older. It's probably 70 years old is our major demographic. It drops off big after about 45, but that's kind of like the way life is. The way it's kind of been, though. It's when you're 20, you don't get health insurance. You don't need it. You're 20 years old. And so life hasn't hit you yet at 20. But when you get 30 and you start having kids, now it's oh my gosh, I need God. I need answers. Now I've got this little human looking at me, and I've got to take care of. Life starts hitting you. That's when you really start seeing, people get more serious about it, wanting to learn. And that's all we are. We're a teaching ministry. That's what we are. It's what we always be. We're here to teach people faith. We're here to teach them, bring them from the milk of the word to the meat, so that they know who they are in Christ and know the authority that God's given them. You don't have to be a Christian and just take whatever Satan gives you, man. You got authority over him, right? And so we're here to teach. So that's always going to be our focus. And like I said, mom and dad's ministry goes on, for a long time, even after they're gone to heaven. With AI, now we've literally been taking the 60 years of audio and video and dumping it into AI, into
wow.
It's not AI that's going to be tainted by anybody. It's just our stuff. But now we go in and we can mine that. We can say, we want a book on this or a video on this or whatever. And AI can go pull from my mom and dad's teaching along with the word. And so there's a lot of potential with that. Taking that, repackaging it in a way that is palatable to the younger people.
To the next.
To get them that word. That's the direction we're headed. You know, that's where Courtney really comes in. I kind of feel like I'm a bridge a little bit from the older generation to the younger, because I kind of act younger than I am.
Well, and your wife keeps you young. So.
And my wife keeps me young, you know. And so, but Courtney at 32, 33, and she knows how to. That's what she does, right? She packages things in a way that people want to hear it, want to listen to it. And so we are in that kind of transition period. It's almost like a new startup, you know, because as people get older and they die off, they don't support you anymore, and it's the older people who do mainly support. Younger generation's not really donor based. Their activity, like they want to be a part of something, right? They want to see what their money's doing. They want to be a part of an action more than they are about donating. So kind of, I think, becomes more transactional type thing. With that generation, they want to be a part of missions. You know, they want to see that my money is doing something. So it's not without challenge for sure. Nobody. I mean, the whole television thing's going away. The way that people have watched television, which is what our ministry's been based on that, right? You buy TV time, you put your program on there, people support it. But younger people, they look at their phone. You know, it's like I'll rent a movie or something at home, and you know, my wife's over there. Not as much now since we don't have social media, but you know, she's on her phone doing stuff, and like, hey, I paid $4 for this movie. Watch it. You know? So I think that you have to change. The word doesn't change; the method of delivery changes. And if we don't change with it, then we miss them. You know, and it's like.
But that message of faith, it absolutely has to get to the next generation.
Absolutely.
And it has to get to people who don't feel they fit in the picture perfect Christianese world. It's got to get to broken people. It's got to get to, kind of wind her down with this story. But when I never actually listened to any of the faith preachers until 2005, after my ministry blew up, and kind of moved out into the oil patch and got a job working for this rig jacker. And now I'm drinking every day. But this rig jacker, he smoked like a chimney, and but he loved God, and he listened to Kenneth Copeland all the time, and he was a partner. And he listened to Hagen, and he listened to all these guys, but it was always faith, faith, faith. And he wasn't perfect, but he had faith. And I came out of a more traditional charismatic church, but we did not, Kenneth Hagen, Kenneth Copeland, anything Kenneth was a swear word, you know, so I didn't know any of that stuff. And I jumped in this truck with him and went to work, and he smoked and I smoked, and we drank too much. But he took me out and he taught me the oil patch, but he would listen to faith preaching all day long. His name is Cam Johnson. He'll be listening to this one. I called him the other day and I said, Cam, I just booked a podcast with John Copeland. And he just started laughing. Whenever he gets anointed, he just starts laughing. So he's just laughing like, no way, not John Copeland. Yeah, I am going to Texas to do a podcast with John. So he'll
tell Cam, thank you for introducing you to that.
Well, he did. He introduced me to the faith message. And I remember the day I broke his finger on lease. I dropped a big steel beam on his finger. And I felt so bad. I'm a brand new, I don't know nothing about the oil patch. I'm this preacher whose ministry ended, and he's trying to teach me how to be a real man. And I busted his finger, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, don't worry, I know how to fix these things. And his finger is twisted sideways. I could see it. And he gets in the truck. And he says, just stop your whining. I know how to fix these things. And he grabbed his finger and he said, in the name of Jesus. And he spoke to his finger. And I was like, I don't know if that did anything. Anyways, about 5 minutes later, we're driving home. And he says, go ahead, pull my finger. Pull my finger. I'm like, I'm not pulling your finger. He's like, pull my finger. And I'm like, I know it was broken. I saw it. And he said, just pull it. And I just tight lightly, and he's like, pull it. I'm like, he's like, pull it. And so I yank on it, and he just starts laughing. Ha ha ha. See, that's how it works, Steve.
That's
you
awesome.
only believe, but he had faith, and he listened to faith, and he believed, and it didn't, I still went through my 5, 7, 9 years of hell.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a beginning, and I just know this, even this podcast is going to reach some people who are broken, who are hurting, who feel like they don't measure up, feel like they deserve to be written off. And what would you say to those people who might be in a bad way and thinking God might be done?
I went to Mike Barber, who's a prison minister that we support. We pay for all of his crusades and everything in prisons and around the country. And I went to one of his meetings it was a maximum security, and he goes in and he has music. Phil Driscoll was playing the trumpet. And so before the meeting, Mike goes, hey, I want you to meet this guy. He said, this guy's killed more people than he don't even know how many he's killed. He was a gang member and he was the hitman, and he taught people how to kill. You want to kill them slow, you want to kill them fast. And he said, I want you to meet him because I would leave my kids and grandkids with him for a week. He goes, he met him. He was in lockdown because every time he would get out, he would either attack a guard or another inmate or whatever. He was pure evil. And, tatted up and all that. And so Mike had him come over there, introduce me to him. And, dude, you could just see in his eyes the love of God.
You can see Jesus.
You know what I'm saying? Just like his eyes were so clear, man. He just smiled at me. He looked scary, as far as his outward appearance. Like if somebody saw him on the street, you would think he's a bad guy. And it really hit me. It's like, and he talked to me, and he's like, hugged me and everything. He's big. He probably weighed like 230. And, but you could just see the joy of God in his eyes. And, unless God does a miracle, he's in there for life. Mm-hmm. And so it just really made me think there's nobody beyond redemption. Nobody. He killed all these people. And a lot of guys in prison are that way, right? They did some horrible, horrible things. But they asked Jesus into their heart. They're just as saved. Mm-hmm. And that guy, God's using him in there. He said, I'm more free in here today than I was when I was a sinner out in the world. And so, my encouragement to you is like, God wants to use you. He's not looking for perfect.
No.
He's not looking for somebody that is educated. He's not looking for somebody. He's looking for the willing. Mm-hmm. That's it. You look at the disciples. They were a bunch of mismatched, Mm-hmm. They were the people that, the normal, like Matthew, tax collector. Yeah. He was a scourge. Like Jews hated him.
Oh, yeah.
You look at Paul. He was killing Christians.
Yeah.
He was killing Christians, and he wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. Mm-hmm. And so Moses had a stutter.
David had issues. Every single one
David's
of them.
a prime example. David, he saw a woman he wanted, sent her husband off to be killed. Did a lot of things. And
do you think God would write you up for something like that?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, God said, you're a man after my own heart, because he was willing to do whatever God asked him to do. Mm-hmm. And I think that should be that should be good news for you, for me. I know it is for me. And so it's like, that's where Satan steals it though. Mm-hmm. Pride, pride part of it. Condemnation, guilt, shame, and they can't get past something they did. Mm-hmm. But the minute you got saved, God forgave. God forgave you of your sins before you're ever born. Mm-hmm. He went to the cross for that, right? And all you have to do is accept the fact that he went to the cross for you, and he did that for you. And once you accept it and you say it and you believe it, your sins are gone, man. It's like you're a new creature.
One thing I see on what I loved about you, and I mentioned this after I left Ohio, was that even though you shared your story of my mistakes, my failures, but there's no sense of shame. You're not walking around like like you got to earn something. Jesus Christ died for us. We don't even have to carry the shame. We can walk in a new way. We can build with God. We can rise
You know
up.
the tendency for something like that to happen, right? And so when I got let go, I only had a couple requests. I wanted my laptop. I wanted to speak to the staff. And I wanted severance for my assistant and my COO because I knew that they'd probably be getting let go too, even though they didn't do anything. And so I wanted to go speak to the staff, and I got up and I told them, I said, this is where in the religious worlds they say he's going out into his own ministry, God's calling him out. I said, I'm not doing that. I said, I've never lied to y'all, and I'm not going to start now. And I told them what I did.
Wow.
And I said, this is what I did. Apologize to them. My mom and dad are sitting on the front row. I said, I apologize to you. I never want to bring reproach on you. And I asked the staff, I was like, I know this is a big ask, but I would like to keep this in-house, to not bring reproach on mom and dad. And nobody said anything, which is a miracle.
Wow.
And then when I got done, they gave me a standing ovation for just being truthful and real. And I wanted to drop the mic and walk out. But after that, ministers conference, believers convention, I would always come back in town and I would always show my face to support mom and dad and to let people know I don't care what you think. I screwed up. I own it. God's forgiven me for it. And here I am. And you know what's interesting, bro?
I love that.
You know what's interesting?
And here I am, like it or not.
You know what's
God
interesting
didn't give up on me.
Is I saw how people changed after that towards me. Some didn't. Some treated me exactly the same, because I'm in the speaker's room and all the speakers are in there and all this stuff. And, you're going to lunch here because we serve food on the property or in that town where I'm at convention. And I saw how people treated me. I saw the ones that didn't treat me any different, just love me. And I saw people who just kind of
pulled away.
They might be high. They're not going to be rude, but they're don't want to associate with me now or be seen with me kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And it's so irritating because you know what the church does? They shoot their wounded.
Oh, yeah.
This whole thing with Robert Morris, which I don't think it was right. Now, what he did was wrong back then.
Of course.
But he did what the elder said. He went through it all, and they reinstated him. And look at his ministry, man. You can't tell me God was done with him. This is a good one. God never quit on him. Mm-hmm. Look at what Gateway and all that did. And now they just throw him out. The elders knew what was going on over there, and they just threw him out. And now, he's a great man. And it's like the church is notorious for shooting their wounded. Mm-hmm. Where do ministers go when they screw up? Who do they have to talk to? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? If I go talk to somebody else, then they tell people, and then everybody's going to shun me, And it's like, that's terrible, man. You know what we should be doing is going up and grabbing them and hugging them. Mm-hmm. My dad went to see him in prison, ministered to him.
Did he really?
He did the same thing with Pat Baker. I mean, Phil Driscoll, Phil went to prison, but it's like he goes and sees. He never gives up on anybody. Never gave up on me. And so
your dad went to visit, was it Jim Baker?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was there when they opened the doors and let him out.
Wow.
So I now that I'm CEO again, it's very interesting to see the people who want to go to lunch and go to dinner. Hey man, how you doing? And it's like, I remember you. I remember you. You weren't this friendly before. It's so hypocritical, man. But now I'm in a position where I can do things for people, and so they're all super nice to me. Now, the other people who are always the same to me and good, it's like, you see who your friends are when you go through something. You see who your friends are, in a time like that. And it's just people are people, man. I don't care if you're in ministry, you're in the workforce. People are people, and they don't become. I mean, you do become different, I think, when you get saved, you should. But I think people in ministry, they make mistakes.
Well, and like you say, with leaders, people, where does a pastor go? Where does a leader go when they make mistakes? And you know what we need is a few more people like yourself. And I've done it too. I'm at chapter 1 of this book, Access Granted, story of me drunk in the garage for 5 years. I think we just need leaders who have made mistakes and failed Put it out there. There you go. You don't have to dig up any dirt on me. I'll give you all the dirt you need. Now, I'm going to just keep on serving God. I'm going to keep preaching the gospel. I'm going to keep winning souls. And God is going to bless me if he wants to bless me. And if he wants to toss me out, he can toss me out. But I don't listen to what other people are saying.
You know, I think maybe it comes with age too. I don't care what other people think. I care about my mom and dad, what they think, and my kids, my family, my wife, because I want to be a good father and husband and all that. But the rest of the people, you know, it's like, I don't care what... The stuff you see on the internet and all that, I don't care, man. They've been saying stuff like that about my dad forever. Yeah. My dad's still here and they're not.
Yeah.
You know? But we got to, I've thought about opening a place for ministers. You know, a place where they can come, whether it's porn or whether it's drugs or alcohol, or they just breaking down.
Come and get healed.
A lot of people just need a time just to, I gotta take a sabbatical and step out for a minute, because a lot of them wear themselves out.
That's a great idea.
They don't get the rest they need. Like, here's a sanctuary, man. You're not going to be judged. You're just going to be loved. You know, I'm picturing something up in the mountains somewhere. I love the mountains, but I think it's needed. I really do. I think ministers need a safe place. Mm-hmm. Because everybody faces things, man. One of the things, my wife, you know, coming into this family and then me coming to work here, one of the things she'd never experienced was spiritual warfare like that.
Really?
Like things attacking and Satan trying to attack her mind. And
people don't understand that it's even real.
Man, it's real. Now, I grew up in it, right? But I never thought about it from her perspective. This is a new thing. And like, I think that's another reason preachers' kids are so wild sometimes, is if Satan can't get to the preacher, what's the next best thing he can get to is the kids?
Oh, yeah. People don't even think about that. Even people like yourself, people say, well, if I was Kenneth Copeland's son, I would have blah, blah. No. If you were Kenneth Copeland's son, you would have had demons that were much larger than the demons you have right now. And you don't know how you would have responded. You know, we are very quick to judge people that we don't know what we would do if we were in their shoes.
He tries to take people out. He tries to take people out before they ever get started. You know, that's where a lot of the people that would be in the rehab center and stuff, it's like there's a lot of people that get addicted to drugs and do all that who are called to preach, and Satan's just trying to take them out before they ever get there. Come on. You know, and it's like if you've had addictions, you know, it's a tough one, but God can get you out of it. You know, God will get you out of it, but you probably have a calling on your life. He's trying to take them out. You remember those books years ago? I don't remember who wrote them, but they were written in a fiction form, and there was like a real life story going on, but then there was the spiritual warfare story going on behind it. I don't remember the name of it. They were real popular probably in the 90s with the Christian world, but it was, you know, you had this storyline of real life, but then you had the demons and the angels.
Oh, is that like the darkness? Something. Yeah. I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
Something, but that was the first time it like really gave me a kind of a picture in my head of the spiritual warfare that goes on. I mean, you have an angel with you. I have an angel with me. We all signed angels, you know, and it's like they're here. Like they're here to protect us. You send them out. You charge them to do things. And so I think people need to understand that this is a spiritual warfare. It's a spiritual world more than it is a physical world. And that our life is eternal, and it's not just here. It's like when we do things here, we got to remember there's a life beyond this. We do things here for God that may be hard. I mean, you think about a missionary in Africa or somewhere, you know, who's living in the jungle and getting people saved. Dude, when they get to heaven, their reward. You know, there's a reward that comes from this. There's a reward for people when you get to heaven. Yeah. And we can't just be earthly minded. We got to be, you know, it's where, like, when we think about wealth and getting money and all these things, it's temporal. Yeah. You know, it's a temporal thing. I think it's great. You know, I don't know how you help people if you're broke. But we have to become more eternally minded, kingdom minded. We don't have to have it all right now. You know, the big picture is later. It's been fun, man.
Yeah, this is so good.
I'm glad you came down.
I'm so thankful that you'd made time for me today.
Yeah.
Sir,
We'll
appreciate
have to
it.
do something together again.
Yeah, I think we need to find out if you can get into Canada now. Maybe we'll. I've been wanting to do what's called a men's retreat during hunting season. Call it Dead Meat Men's Retreat. I think you'd be a fantastic
hunt?
guest.
Are we
Yeah,
just
we'll
gonna
hunt.
talk
We'll
about
hunt
it?
in the morning. We'll preach in the night.
I'm down, bro.
Yeah,
I love hunting.
you up for that?
Yeah.
John, thank you so much for joining me on Kingdom BS.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for coming to Texas, man.
Yeah, no, this is
Wish
a
I
real
had more
treat.
time to hang out, go shoot some guns or something.
Yeah, next time.
Okay.
Thanks,
Hey,
brother.
appreciate you, man.